The bright lights of the arena shone down on the excited crowd. Thousands of people filled the seats, all there to watch the big charity fighting event. Famous people from movies, sports, and music sat in the special front rows. The air buzzed with excitement as fans waited for the fighters to appear. Among the special guests was Jason Statham, the famous action movie star. He sat quietly in his front row seat, dressed in a simple black suit. Unlike some other celebrities who just came to be seen, Statham actually loved martial arts. He had trained in boxing and kickboxing for many years before becoming a movie star. Ladies and gentlemen, the announcer's voice boomed through the speakers. Welcome to tonight's special charity event. All money raised tonight will help sick children at City Children's Hospital. The crowd cheered loudly. This was not just any fighting event. It was for a good cause. In the special section to the right, a group of children from the hospital sat with their nurses and doctors. Some kids were in wheelchairs, others wore masks to protect them, but all had huge smiles on their faces. And now, the announcer continued, let me introduce our fighters for tonight. One by one, the fighters entered the arena. Each one waved to the crowd, showing respect to the fans and the special guests. Then, the music changed to a loud, thumping beat. And now, our main fighter for tonight. He has won 15 fights in a row. He is the champion that nobody can beat. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Marcus, the Destroyer Williams. The crowd's reaction was mixed. Some people cheered wildly, while others booed. Marcus Williams was known for being an amazing fighter, but also for having a big ego and saying mean things about other fighters. Marcus burst into the arena wearing a shiny gold robe. His championship belt gleamed around his waist. He didn't just walk to the ring like the other fighters. He danced. He pointed at himself. He made faces at the crowd. His muscles were huge, and his smile was even bigger. That's right, he shouted, even though he didn't have a microphone yet. The Destroyer is here. This night just got interesting. The event organizer looked nervous. Marcus was a great fighter, but he was known for going off script and saying whatever he wanted. This was supposed to be a respectful charity event. Before the fights begin, the announcer said, our fighters would like to thank our special celebrity guests who have donated to our cause tonight. This was a normal part of these events. Fighters would usually thank the celebrities, maybe shake a few hands, and show respect to everyone who had come to support the charity. One by one, the other fighters took the microphone, said thank you to the celebrities, and spoke kindly about the children from the hospital. The crowd clapped politely after each short speech. Then it was Marcus's turn. The organizer handed him the microphone with a worried look, whispering something in his ear that seemed like a warning to behave. Marcus grabbed the microphone and walked to the center of the ring. His eyes scanned the celebrity row slowly, his trademark smirk growing wider. When his gaze landed on Jason Statham, he stopped. Something changed in his expression. Well, Marcus said, his voice echoing through the arena. Look who we have here in the front row. It's Jason Statham himself. The crowd cheered, as Statham was popular with fighting fans. But Marcus wasn't finished. The big movie tough guy who pretends to fight on screen. Marcus continued, pointing directly at Statham. Those Hollywood stunts are cute, man, but this is a real fighting ring. The arena suddenly went quiet. This was not what anyone expected. The event organizer's face turned pale. The camera operators quickly pointed their cameras at Statham to catch his reaction. Jason Statham didn't move. His face remained calm, showing no anger or surprise. He simply looked at Marcus with steady eyes. But Marcus was just getting started. The silence in the arena was uncomfortable. Everyone watched Marcus as he continued to point at Jason Statham. What's wrong, action hero? Cat got your tongue. Marcus laughed into the microphone. I'm just saying what everyone is thinking. There's a big difference between your movie fights and what we do in this ring. The event organizer tried to step forward to take the microphone away, but Marcus quickly moved to the other side of the ring. He was enjoying the attention too much to stop. "Hey, everyone. Don't you want to see if Mr. Movie Star can actually fight?" Marcus shouted. "All those films where he looks so tough. I wonder if he can throw a real punch without his stunt double." Some people in the crowd laughed nervously. Others looked embarrassed. The children from the hospital seemed confused by what was happening. "Since this is for charity," Marcus continued, "why don't you come up here, Statham? Show us some of those fancy movie moves. I promise I'll go easy on you." He made a mocking bow toward the actor. The camera stayed on Jason Statham's face. He still hadn't changed his expression. He looked calm, maybe even slightly amused. This seemed to annoy Marcus even more. "What's the matter? Afraid to get that pretty face messed up? Your movie fans might not recognize you with a real black eye," Marcus taunted. Now the crowd was getting angry. Some people started to boo. This was supposed to be a special night for the sick children, not a platform for Marcus to show off his big ego. The other fighters looked uncomfortable. None of them had ever spoken to a guest like this, especially not someone respected like Jason Statham. One fighter even shook his head and walked away from the ring in disgust. "Security, get ready," the event organizer whispered into his radio. He was worried things might get out of control. Just then, something unexpected happened. Jason Statham stood up. The crowd went completely silent. Without saying a word, Statham calmly removed his black suit jacket. He folded it neatly and handed it to the woman sitting next to him. His face remained calm as he began walking toward the ring. "Wait, is he serious?" Marcus said, his cocky smile fading a little. "He's actually coming up here." The security guards looked at each other, not sure what to do. Should they stop Statham, or let him approach the ring? Statham walked with the confident movement of someone who knew how to fight. His steady steps and straight posture showed years of training. He wasn't rushing, but moving with purpose. "Somebody get Hollywood a pair of gloves," Marcus called out, trying to sound like he was still in control of the situation. But people could hear the slight shake in his voice now. A young staff member nervously approached Statham with a pair of fighting gloves. Statham simply shook his head and politely waved them away. He didn't need gloves. As he reached the ring, Statham easily slipped between the ropes. He stood on the canvas, looking directly at Marcus. The difference between them was clear to everyone watching. Marcus was taller and had bigger muscles. He was younger too, but something about Statham's calm confidence made many people wonder who would really win in a fight. "Listen, I was just having some fun with you," Marcus said, backing up slightly. His voice had lost its mocking tone. "No hard feelings, right?" The crowd watched in complete silence. The children from the hospital had moved to the edges of their seats. Everyone was waiting to see what would happen next. Jason Statham had still not said a single word. He stood perfectly still in the ring, looking at Marcus with calm, steady eyes. The tension in the arena grew with each passing second. Then, finally, Jason Statham began to speak. Jason Statham finally spoke. His voice was calm but strong enough for everyone to hear without a microphone. "You wanted me to show you something real," Statham said in his deep British accent. "But I respect this sport too much to turn it into a joke with some unplanned fight." Marcus shifted from one foot to another, looking unsure of what to do next. This wasn't the angry reaction he had expected. "I've trained in martial arts for over 30 years, Statham continued. "Not for movies. I trained for discipline, respect, and to better myself as a person." The audience listened carefully to every word. No one made a sound. "The best fighters I've ever known were also the most humble," Statham said. "They didn't need to make others look bad to make themselves look good." Marcus looked down at his feet. For the first time that night, he seemed embarrassed. "Look over there," Statham said, turning to point at the children from the hospital. "Those kids are fighting real battles every day. They show more courage than many of us ever will. That's what real strength looks like." Several people in the crowd nodded. Some had tears in their eyes. "This event isn't about you or me," Statham said, looking back at Marcus. It's about them. It's about showing them that strength isn't just in our muscles. It's in how we treat others. The crowd began to clap. Slowly at first, then louder and louder until the whole arena was filled with the sound of applause. Many people stood up from their seats, giving Statham a standing ovation. Marcus stood frozen in the ring. The cheers weren't for him this time. For a fighter who always wanted to be the center of attention, this was a new feeling. After the applause died down, Statham did something unexpected. He extended his hand to Marcus. Marcus looked at the offered hand, then at the crowd, then back at Statham. After a moment that seemed to last forever, he stepped forward and shook Statham's hand. The audience clapped again, but they couldn't hear what happened next. Statham leaned close to Marcus's ear and whispered something only the fighter could hear. Whatever those words were, they clearly had an effect. Marcus's eyes widened, and he nodded slowly with a new look of respect on his face. With that, Statham turned and calmly walked back to his seat, putting his jacket back on as if nothing unusual had happened. All eyes were now on Marcus, who still stood alone in the center of the ring. The microphone was still in his hand. The crowd waited to see what he would do or say next. Marcus looked different now. His usual cocky smile was gone. He seemed to be thinking hard about something. After a long moment, he raised the microphone to his lips again. Everyone tensed, wondering if he would go back to his arrogant ways. "I want to say something," Marcus began, his voice quieter than before. The arena went completely silent again. "I want to apologize to Mr. Statham," Marcus said, surprising everyone. "And to everyone here tonight. Especially to the kids." He turned to look at the children from the hospital. "This event isn't about me or my ego," he continued. "It's about you guys. You're the real champions here." The children smiled. One little boy in a wheelchair gave Marcus a thumbs up. "So I've decided to do something," Marcus announced. "I'm going to donate half of my payment for tonight to the children's hospital. And if I win my fight later, I'll double it." The crowd erupted in cheers, even louder than before. Even people who had been booing Marcus earlier were now applauding. The event organizer looked relieved and surprised. He patted Marcus on the back as the fighter finally stepped out of the ring. As Marcus walked past the other fighters, something strange happened. They looked at him with new respect in their eyes. The rest of the evening went very differently than anyone expected. When it was time for Marcus's fight, he entered the ring without his usual dancing and showing off. He simply walked in, nodded to the crowd, and prepared to fight. His opponent, a fighter named Diego, the Panther Ramirez, seemed confused by the change. He had prepared to face the loud, cocky Marcus everyone knew. This quiet, focused virgin was something new. "What's wrong, Destroyer? No big talk tonight," Diego taunted, trying to get a reaction. But Marcus just shook his head. "Let's just fight," he said. "Good luck." The match began, and from the first moment, everyone could see that Marcus was fighting differently. He was still powerful and skilled, but he wasn't showing off or trying to embarrass his opponent. He fought with focus and respect. In the third round, Marcus had a clear chance to knock Diego out with a flashy move that would have made the highlight reels. The old Marcus would have taken it without hesitation. But instead, he won with a simple, clean technique that ended the fight without hurting Diego unnecessarily. When the referee raised Marcus's hand as the winner, the crowd cheered louder than they ever had for him before. It wasn't just because he won. It was because of how he won. After the fight, reporters pushed microphones in front of Marcus's face. They all wanted to know what had happened with Jason Statham and what the movie star had whispered to him. "What did Statham say to you in the ring?" one reporter asked. "Was he angry? Did he threaten you?" Marcus wiped the sweat from his face with a towel. "No," he said. "He wasn't angry at all. That's what surprised me the most." "So what did he tell you?" another reporter pressed. "It must have been something important to change your attitude so much." Marcus looked thoughtful. He glanced across the room where Jason Statham was talking quietly with some of the children from the hospital. The actor was kneeling down to be at eye level with a small girl in a wheelchair, making her laugh. "He told me something I needed to hear," Marcus finally answered. "He said that true champions are remembered not for how many people they mock, but for how many people they inspire." The reporters scribbled this down quickly. "He also told me that he's been following my career for years," Marcus continued, surprising everyone. "He said I'm one of the most talented fighters he's ever seen, but that I was becoming the kind of person that the younger me would have hated." Marcus paused, looking down at his hands. "And he was right," he admitted. "When I started fighting, I looked up to the humble champions, the ones who let their skills speak for themselves. Somewhere along the way, I became exactly what I used to hate." After the interviews, Marcus went to the hospital section. He approached the children carefully, not sure if they would want to talk to him after how he had acted earlier. But the kids welcomed him with smiles and excited questions about his fight. They didn't hold grudges like adults did. To them, his apology had been enough. As Marcus signed autographs for the children, he noticed Jason Statham watching from across the room. The actor gave him a small nod of approval. Later that night, as the arena emptied, Marcus found himself alone in the locker room. He looked at his championship belt, seeing it differently now. For the first time in years, he wondered if being feared was as important as being respected. His phone buzzed with notifications, videos of his confrontation with Statham, and his apology afterward were already going viral online. Some people were calling it fake or a publicity stunt. But Marcus knew the truth. Something real had happened in that ring tonight, something that would change him forever. The next morning, Marcus woke up to find that the video of his exchange with Jason Statham had spread everywhere. It was on all the sports channels, news websites, and social media. People couldn't stop talking about it. Some of the comments were negative. "It's all fake," some people wrote. "They planned this to get attention." Others were saying it was just a trick to make people like Marcus again after years of bad behavior. But many comments were positive. "This is what real growth looks like," one person wrote. "It takes a big man to admit he was wrong and change." Marcus scrolled through his phone, reading everything. In the past, he would have gotten angry at the negative comments and boasted about the positive ones. But today, he just turned his phone off and put it away. He had something more important to do. At 10 o'clock, Marcus arrived at the City Children's Hospital. He didn't bring any cameras or reporters with him. He didn't post about it on social media. He just showed up with a gym bag full of signed gloves, pictures, and other gifts for the kids. "Mr. Williams, you came," shouted a small boy named Tommy, who had been at the event the night before. Tommy was fighting cancer, but his big smile showed his fighting spirit. "I promised I would," Marcus said, giving the boy a fist bump. And champions keep their promises, right? For the next 3 hours, Marcus visited with the children. He didn't rush or act like he wanted to be somewhere else. He sat with them, listened to their stories, and told them about how he became a fighter. But he told the real story, not the one he usually told reporters. He talked about being the skinny kid who got bullied. He talked about how his coach taught him that martial arts was about respect, not just winning fights. "When did you forget that?" asked a 12-year-old girl named Maya, who was very smart and didn't miss anything. Marcus laughed. "That's a good question," he said. "I think it happened slowly. Each time I won, I got a little more full of myself. Each time people cheered for me being tough or saying mean things about other fighters, I thought that's what they wanted." "But last night changed that?" Maya asked. Marcus nodded. "Sometimes you need someone to hold up a mirror and show you who you've really become." As Marcus was leaving the hospital, he was surprised to find Jason Statham in the parking lot, getting out of his car. "Mr. Statham," Marcus said, feeling nervous again. "I didn't expect to see you here." "I come every time I'm in town," Statham explained. "Been doing it for years, just no cameras." Marcus nodded. understanding now why the children had been so excited to see Statham the night before. He wasn't just a movie star to them. He was a real friend who visited them regularly. "I want to thank you," Marcus said, finding it hard to look Statham in the eyes, "for what you said last night. You could have made me look really bad, but instead you helped me remember who I wanted to be." Statham shook his head. "You did that yourself. All I did was point it out." They stood in silence for a moment. "Would you?" Marcus started, then paused. "Would you maybe want to train together sometime? I could learn a lot from you." Statham smiled. "I'd like that, but only if you promise to teach me that spinning kick you used in your championship fight. That was truly impressive." Marcus looked surprised. "You watched my fights." "All of them," Statham nodded. "Like I said last night, you're one of the most talented fighters I've ever seen. Your skills were never the problem." As they exchanged phone numbers, Marcus realized something important. He had always wanted the respect of other fighters, fans, and celebrities, but he had been trying to get it in all the wrong ways. 2 weeks later, Marcus arrived at a small private gym on the edge of town. This wasn't one of the fancy places where celebrities trained. It was an old-school gym with worn equipment and the smell of hard work in the air. Jason Statham was already there, wrapping his hands with tape. He nodded to Marcus as he entered. "Right on time," Statham said. "I like that." Marcus had been nervous about this training session all week. He had turned down interviews and sponsorship offers that had come pouring in after the viral video. Some people in his management team thought he was making a mistake by staying out of the spotlight when he could be making money from his new popularity. But something inside him had changed. The attention didn't seem as important anymore. "I brought coffee," Marcus said, holding up 2 cups. "Wasn't sure how you take it, so I got cream and sugar on the side." "Black is perfect," Statham said, taking one of the cups. "Thanks." They spent the first hour just warming up. Marcus was surprised by how fit Statham was. The movie star might be older, but his strength and flexibility were impressive. "Most people think acting in action movies is all camera tricks," Statham said, noticing Marcus's surprise. "Some of it is, of course, but the stunts still hurt if you're not in shape." As they moved on to practicing techniques, Marcus was surprised again. Statham didn't try to show off or prove himself. He simply shared what he knew and was honest about what he didn't. "That kick you do. I've been trying to master it for years," Statham admitted. "Never quite got the timing right." Marcus felt strange being the teacher instead of the student. "It took me 3 years to get it right," he said. "I can show you the steps that helped me learn it." For the next hour, Marcus broke down his famous kick into small parts. Statham listened carefully and practiced each movement with patience. "You're a good teacher," Statham said after finally putting the movements together in a smooth kick. "Ever thought about coaching when you retire?" Marcus laughed. "Me? No way. I always thought I'd be terrible with students." "Why's that?" Statham asked. Marcus thought about it. "I guess because I've been so focused on myself for so long. Didn't think I had the patience." They took a water break, sitting on a bench against the wall. "Can I ask you something?" Marcus said after a moment. "Why did you help me that night? I was disrespectful. You could have embarrassed me or just ignored me. Why take the time to say what you did?" Statham was quiet for a moment. "When I was starting out, I was a lot like you," he finally said. "Thought being tough meant never showing weakness. Thought respect came from fear." Marcus looked surprised. "You? But you're always so." He gestured vaguely. "Calm." Statham smiled. "That came with time. And because someone did for me what I did for you. Called me out. Made me see myself clearly." "Who was it?" Marcus asked. "An old martial arts master I trained with," Statham said. "He could have kicked me out of his school for my attitude. Instead, he showed me a better way. Said I had a responsibility to pass it on someday." Marcus nodded slowly, understanding. "Your next fight is coming up soon, right?" Statham asked, changing the subject. "Next month," Marcus confirmed. "Title defense. How do you feel about it?" Marcus thought for a moment. "Different," he admitted. "Usually I'd be talking trash about my opponent already, getting in his head. But now I'm just focused on being my best. It feels cleaner somehow." Statham nodded. "And the fans, worried about how they'll react to the new Marcus?" "A little," Marcus admitted. "Some people like the show, the trash talk. But others—" He paused. "I got a letter from a mom last week. Said her son looks up to me. That meant more than 1,000 cheers from people who just want to see me hurt someone." The night of Marcus's title defense fight arrived. The arena was even more packed than usual. Many people had bought tickets after seeing the viral video, curious to see if Marcus had really changed or if it had all been an act. In the locker room, Marcus sat quietly, tape wrapped around his hands. His coach was surprised by how calm he seemed. "You feeling okay?" his coach asked. "You're usually pacing and pumped up by now." "I feel good," Marcus said, just focused. There was a knock at the door. A staff member poked his head in. "5 minutes until your entrance, champ." Marcus nodded and stood up. As he prepared to leave the locker room, his phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Jason Statham. "Remember who you are, not who they expect you to be." Marcus smiled and put the phone away. Over the past month, he and Statham had trained together several times. The action star had become something of a mentor to him, though they were now also friends. "You ready for this?" his coach asked, looking concerned. "The crowd might be different tonight. Some of them like the old Marcus better." "Then I'll have to show them the new one is better at fighting," Marcus replied. When it was time for his entrance, Marcus walked out without his usual flashy robe or dance moves. He simply walked to the ring with focus and determination. The crowd's reaction was mixed. Some cheered loudly, while others seemed confused by the change. In the front row, Marcus spotted Jason Statham sitting next to Tommy, the boy from the hospital. Marcus had arranged special seats for several of the children who were well enough to attend. Seeing their excited faces gave him a different kind of energy than the crowd's cheers ever had. His opponent, Victor the Viper Martinez, was known for his trash talk too. When they met in the center of the ring for the referee's instructions, Victor tried to provoke Marcus. "What's wrong, Destroyer? Gone soft after your little moment with the movie star?" Victor whispered. In the past, this would have made Marcus angry. He would have said something cruel back. But now he just smiled. "Good luck, Victor," Marcus said, offering his glove to touch. Victor looked surprised but touched gloves. The fight began. From the first round, everyone could see that Marcus was different but not weaker. He fought with amazing focus. His moves were cleaner, more precise. He wasn't showing off or trying to embarrass Victor. He was simply fighting to win. In the third round, Victor caught Marcus with a hard punch that sent him to the canvas. The crowd gasped. In the past, Marcus would have gotten angry after being knocked down, often making mistakes because of his rage. But this time, Marcus got up calmly. He nodded at Victor as if to acknowledge the good punch. Then he reset his stance and continued. By the fifth round, Marcus had taken control of the fight. He had Victor backed against the ropes. There was a moment when he could have used an illegal move that the referee wouldn't have seen, something the old Marcus might have done. Instead, he stepped back slightly, allowing Victor to move off the ropes before continuing the fight fairly. The match went all the way to the final round. When the bell rang, both fighters were still standing. They hugged briefly, showing respect for each other's effort. The judges scored the fight, and the announcer stepped into the ring with the microphone. And still the undisputed champion, Marcus the Destroyer Williams. The crowd erupted in the loudest cheers Marcus had ever heard. As the referee raised his hand in victory, Marcus looked over at the children from the hospital, who were jumping up and down with excitement. Next to them, Jason Statham gave him a subtle nod of approval. That small gesture meant more to Marcus than the championship belt around his waist. 6 months passed. Marcus successfully defended his title 2 more times. Each fight showed the same pattern. He was respectful to his opponents but fought with incredible skill and focus. Fans who had originally been confused by his change in attitude were now fully supportive of the new Marcus. One sunny afternoon, Marcus was at the children's hospital again. He now visited regularly, at least once a week. Today was special because little Tommy, who had been fighting cancer for 3 years, was finally going home. The doctors had declared him cancer-free. "You beat it, champ," Marcus said, giving Tommy a high five. "I knew you would." Tommy beamed with pride. "I fought hard, just like you showed me." Marcus had brought a special gift, a miniature championship belt with Tommy's name engraved on it. When Tommy opened the box, his eyes went wide with excitement. "This is for me?" he asked in disbelief. "You earned it," Marcus said. "Fighting cancer is tougher than any opponent I've ever faced." As Marcus was helping Tommy pack his things, his phone rang. It was his agent, Mike. "Marcus, big news," Mike said excitedly. "You've been offered a role in a movie. An action film starring Jason Statham." Marcus was shocked. "A movie? Me? Are you serious?" "Dead serious," Mike replied. "Statham specifically requested you for the role. It's not just a cameo. It's a supporting part as his rival who becomes his ally. The script is actually really good." After the call, Marcus sat in the hospital hallway, trying to process this news. He had never considered acting before. Fighting was all he knew. Just then, his phone buzzed with a text from Statham. "Heard the news yet? Don't worry, I'll help you through it. You can't be worse than I was in my first film." Marcus laughed out loud, causing a nurse to look over curiously. 2 weeks later, Marcus found himself on a movie set for the first time. He felt completely out of place among the cameras, lights, and crew members rushing around. His first scene was a fight sequence with Statham, at least something he knew how to do. "Just relax," Statham told him before they started. "Think of it as sparring, but in slow motion and with lots of breaks." The director called action, and they began the choreographed fight. Marcus was stiff at first, too aware of the cameras. But after a few takes, he started to get the hang of it. "Cut," the director called. That was good, but Marcus remembered to make it look hard. In real fighting, you try to make difficult things look easy. In movies, we make easy things look difficult. Marcus nodded, understanding. When they tried again, he added more facial expressions and made the movements more dramatic. "Perfect," the director shouted. "That's exactly what we need." During lunch break, Marcus and Statham sat together away from the rest of the crew. "How does it feel?" Statham asked, "being on this side of things?" "Strange," Marcus admitted. "In real fighting, the goal is to win as efficiently as possible. Here, it's all about making it look good for the audience." Statham nodded. "Different worlds, but both are about entertaining people in their own way." "I never thought I'd be doing this," Marcus said. "A year ago, I was just a fighter with a big ego." "And now?" Statham asked. Marcus thought about it. "Now I'm still a fighter, but I'm also a mentor to those kids at the hospital. Maybe an actor too, if I don't mess this up too badly." He grinned. "Life opens up when you stop trying so hard to be just one thing," Statham said. A production assistant approached them. "Mr. Statham, Mr. Williams, they're ready for your next scene." As they walked back to the set, Marcus realized how much his life had changed since that night he had mocked Jason Statham. What had started as one of his worst moments had somehow led to the best chapter of his life. 1 year later, the movie Unlikely Allies premiered at a big theater in Los Angeles. The red carpet was filled with celebrities, cameras flashed everywhere, and fans screamed from behind the barriers. Marcus stepped out of a black car, wearing a suit instead of fighting shorts. This world still felt strange to him, but he was getting used to it. Jason Statham arrived just after him, and they walked the red carpet together, stopping to take pictures and talk to reporters. "So, Marcus, quite a change from the fighting world to Hollywood," one reporter said. "Did you ever imagine this would happen?" Marcus smiled. "Never in a million years, but life takes strange turns sometimes." "And Jason," the reporter continued, "what made you choose Marcus for this role? Was it because of that famous moment between you two?" Statham nodded. "Partly. That moment showed me who Marcus really was, not the character he was playing in the ring, but the person underneath. Great actors need to be authentic, and Marcus has that quality." Inside the theater, before the movie started, the director asked Marcus and Statham to say a few words. Statham spoke first, thanking everyone involved in making the film. When it was Marcus's turn, he looked nervous. Fighting in front of thousands had never made him scared, but speaking in public was different. "I'm not good at speeches," he began, "but I want to share something important. A year and a half ago, I was not the person I wanted to be. I had success, but I wasn't happy. I thought respect came from making others fear you." The audience was silent, listening carefully. "Then one night, I tried to embarrass this man right here." He pointed at Statham. "Instead of putting me in my place, he showed me a better path. He could have been my enemy, but he chose to be my mentor and friend." Marcus looked at the front row, where Tommy and several other children from the hospital were sitting as special guests. "The best part is what happened next. Because Jason helped me, I was able to help these kids, and they inspired other people. That's how good spreads in the world, one person at a time." After the movie ended, people stood and applauded. The film was a success, and critics praised Marcus's performance as surprisingly good for a first-time actor. At the after-party, Marcus found a quiet corner away from the crowd. He was joined by Statham, who handed him a drink. "Proud of you," Statham said. "Not bad for a fighter." Marcus laughed. "Still a fighter, just fighting different battles now." "Speaking of which," Statham said, "I heard you turned down 3 championship fights to focus on the hospital foundation. That true?" Marcus nodded. "Fighting will always be part of who I am, but the foundation matters more now. We've raised enough money to build a new wing at the hospital, with better facilities for the kids and their families." They were interrupted by Tommy, who ran up excitedly. "You were awesome in the movie, Marcus. The part where you saved Jason from the bad guys was so cool." "Thanks, buddy," Marcus said, ruffling the boy's hair. "But remember, it's just pretend. The real heroes are kids like you." As Tommy ran back to his mom, Statham raised his glass. "To unlikely allies," he said. "To unexpected journeys," Marcus added. Later that night, as Marcus was leaving the party, a young fighter approached him nervously. "Mr. Williams, I'm sorry to bother you, but I'm an MMA fighter too. I've been trying to make it, but it's hard. I've been thinking about changing my style, being more like your old self. You know, talking trash, creating drama. It seems to get attention." Marcus looked at the young man carefully. He saw his younger self in this fighter's eyes. "Come by the gym tomorrow morning," Marcus said. "I'd like to show you another way." And so the cycle continued, one person helping another, exactly as it should be.